Hello, my friends. I'm a frizzy mess. That time of year, I don't put product in my hair, so I'm always pretty messy. We're going to talk about the astrology, personal stuff aside, the astrology for August 4th through August 10th. I try to keep this really easy going and not be overly strict. But let's get started because um, if you look at your Llewellyn calendar, there it is now, sharing. If you look at your Llewellyn calendar, you can see that there are very few aspects posted for August 4th, and it's just the moon and Sag trine the sun and quincunx Jupiter. So let's just talk about the moon and Sag because there's a few days before that things have been well, the second and the third weren't. Yeah, the third of August, Sunday the third, also the moon and Sag, lots of ease and fun and grace. So I like that a lot. But before that, we had a lot of relationship stuff and a lot of drama and dynamic there. You can watch last week's forecast. And I do a lot of little short videos over on YouTube, but they only get posted the day, about 12 hours before the day of you guys here who are paid members. You guys get all of this way ahead of time. So there we are. But the point is like some of the daily videos, might tell you something different just to refresh your memory, but just go back and look at the weekly forecast prior to this one, and you will get to get the inside scoop about that Venus in Cancer, quincunx Pluto, as we're coming into August 3rd, which is Sunday, August 3rd, moon in Sag. Same energy on August 4th, Monday, August 4th, moon in Sag. So when the moon's moving through Sagittarius, just fiery, playful, lots and lots of fun. I want to make sure I'm sharing the screen. I want to share. Yes, I am. And so lots and lots of fun. And with that, it just says um, keep staying open, right? Looking at the bigger picture, not getting stuck in the weeds, if you will, because sometimes that gets to be too much. You know, that Sagittarius moon is open for negotiations, right? It's a mutable energy. It's very fiery. It's very productive. It's curious. It's great for learning new things, connecting with new groups of people. Just let your mind and your spirit, if you will, just stretch a little further when we have Sunday, August 3rd, and Monday, August 4th, because those things are just fantastic, right? And so pay attention to that. Do what you can there. Mercury is still retrograde, of course. It's that way for a little while longer, another week. And anything else? Yeah, that's it for right now. You can just see that the aspects that the moon is making at noontime Eastern, my time zone. Just pick middle of the day. The moon is also out of bounds when it's in Sagittarius and Capricorn, very low in the southern sky. And that just means that we tend to feel the intensity of it. So play with this. The intensity is, what are you passionate about? Where do you want to play? What do you want to do? Have some friggin' fun, right? I hope to be away at this point. So I'm recording a few of these weeks. You'll see the same outfit for a couple of weeks because I don't feel like changing. And it's not a surprise that I do these ahead of time. So it's not like I have to hide it. Um, yeah, I'm hoping to be away on this weekend, for a couple days before this weekend and a couple days after, which is why I'm recording a few things ahead of time. All right, I want to make sure I'm still sharing the correct. What am I sharing? Yeah, I think I am. Here we are. Here is the aspects that I just picked for the moment that the moon enters Capricorn. So here it is, approximately 0 Capricorn. It is making a really hard aspect over there to Uranus. And so the energy of that, the moon in Capricorn slows us down. Look at it's even further out of bounds than ever. The moon in Capricorn, it is in its detriment. That's what they call it. But I don't want you to think of it as such a negative thing. It's just not, the moon's not going to act the way that we've been told it will act. What that means is that, um, we expect the moon just to be like, the quintessential mother, grandmother, the person who's the caring, nurturing person. And of course, that's what the moon is. But when it works its magic through the sign of Capricorn, it just means that we're the wise woman now, we're the wise person now. Our emotions, since this is for everybody, our emotions shift to being logical and practical and a little more grounded. And throughout the day, on August 5th, you can see, the first part of the day is it's the moon's in Sag, but by 1:04 p.m., the moon enters Capricorn. This is all Eastern time. And then it makes that hard aspect with Uranus. You can see that right there, meaning just be open for something too unexpected to happen. hmm With Mercury retrograde, this could be have a little bit to do with travel. Who knows? Messaging. I would be traveling home on this day. It's about 700 miles where I think I want to go. We'll decide. I'll think twice about it. I promise my family that. Anyways, um, that moon in Capricorn squares the Saturn and Neptune as well early in the middle of the afternoon, which just means it shows me that there's this opportunity for us just to simply find space to stop being overly reactive to things. That moon in Sag is fun, but it can be overreactive too. Depends on what you got in your chart that's fiery. So what this moon in Capricorn will do while it's making all of those aspects, the square to Saturn, Neptune, the quincunx to Uranus, just tells us that we need the structure, we need follow through, and feeling if we're feeling overwhelmed, that Capricorn moon making those aspects can help us to not feel quite so overwhelmed and remind us that things don't have to be perfect. We just need to be a little more organized, right? It's less emotional, which is fine. Sometimes that's all that matters. We need that sometimes. It's not, it doesn't have to be, the end of the world and such a big issue. That's what we have. A lot of fire, a little bit of fire, fair amount of earth. Mercury, Mars is at 29 Virgo, and on the next day, on August 6th, and this isn't until around 7:20, this is 7:24 p.m. is when Eastern time is when Mars enters Libra. Will be opposite these guys. I'll talk about that shortly. So when Mars enters Libra, the energy of that, let me make sure I'm sharing the screen I want to share. Sometimes it's not working the way I want it to work. There we are. The Zoom has been a little tricky for me for a couple months now. I don't know why. August 6th, Mars in the sign of Libra. And so this can be tricky. And this is what a lot of astrologers are talking about as far as being really fiery. Mars in Libra tends to initiate a lot of fighting and a lot of discord. You would think Libra, we were looking for that diplomatic process, but Mars is the warrior. He's the fighter. He's the one that is very much focused on the individual. And so when Mars moves in here, yes, we're motivated towards diplomacy, towards fairness, towards cooperation, but that isn't necessarily what we get, right? It isn't because it creates a lot of stress when people are second guessing things. There's just compromise that has to happen in a lot of ways, and it might not. So these first 10 degrees of with Mars moving in Libra, and how long is that? I don't think of that. That first 10 degrees of Mars in Libra can be very tumultuous until people figure out it's like we don't have to bomb the shit out of everything, but we can actually spend a little time in figuring out how we can be a little more diplomatic, right? And that first 10 degrees is always the most potent whenever any planet moves into any new sign. And that lasts all the way to August 25th. So August 6th to August 25th, the first 10 degrees that Mars is in Libra could be very potent and just a lot of stress with that going on. I know, I know. I can't tell. I know. I'm just reading. So let me bring this back personal because I'm a Gemini. So I like to bring it back to what does this mean for you and me? It means if you're feeling like you're going to be feisty with somebody and you need to have a fight or a battle to stand up for yourself, then you're probably going to do that because this energy of Mars and Libra will give us the courage to fight for what we want, whatever that looks like. From writing a letter to just, I don't know, but that will be real personal to you and your own chart, okay? And your whatever your own current life circumstances are. And that's what that comes through because, but here's something to be aware of in your own personal life being passive aggressive or that passive aggressive behavior being, you know, what's the word? Somebody else doing it to you. I don't know what the right word is. Be mindful of that. Be mindful of that. And if you don't like battles, you can just diffuse it. Okay. With certain ways of responding to people who are picking a fight or being very disruptive in your life. Okay. So what? What so? So what? Say so what? And things like that can stir things up or diffuse them. I know. It's quite interesting. And then, oh, as well on August 6th. No, we don't have anything else on August 6th. That's it for there. Let me look at my calendar here. All right, on August 7th, there are no aspects, but the moon is in Capricorn all day, and it's not void, of course, but it is in. Well, it kind of is. Yeah, the moon is void, of course, as of Wednesday afternoon at 1:40, right? Wednesday, August 6th at 1:40, even before Mars enters the sign of Libra. And so the moon is also, it's void, of course, all the way until 9:18 p.m. on August 7th. That's not the chart on the screen. August, all the way in August 7th. On August 7th at 8:19 p.m., the moon will enter the sign of Aquarius, which is, Uranus's sign. So it'll make a trine aspect at that point to Uranus in Gemini. And that again is like around 9:10 p.m. Eastern time. And that is more of an analytical, let's focus on the collective process, the collective bargaining, if you will. And I wanted to move on to the August 8th because and the reason I'm doing that is because Mars is making an applying aspect all on August 6th, August 7th, 8th, as Mars is trine Uranus on August 8th at 2:45. You can see it in your book. And then it makes the opposition to Saturn at 10:52 p.m. And then the next day on August 9th, it makes the opposition as well to Neptune. So let's cover those three aspects now. And it looks like this. So here is Mars making the trine aspect to Pluto. That's not the same day. Let me erase her. This one is, first off, we'll start with this one that's on the screen. I didn't want to start with this one. I wanted to start with, I have the wrong one up. They just didn't come up in order. Here we are. That's the full moon. Jesus Christ. There we are. Mars Uranus. I'm messing up a little bit. That's okay. You get me. All right. Here it is. And you can see the time right over there. There's Mars, trine Uranus, as well as trining the Pluto and the moon. So we have this grand trine in air. And that happens between 2:40, honestly, it's happening all of August 8th and August 9th and into August 10th, okay? But we'll feel it August 7, 8, 9, and 10. The full moon is in here too, so we'll cover that later. But let's cover this grand trine, three separate aspects, and I'll show those charts to you. But let me just give you the context of all of this. Mars in Libra, in Gemini. Let me say that again. Mars in Libra, trine Uranus in Gemini. So this is energy around information. Remember what I told you about Mars in Libra being either a diplomat or being somebody who is acting passive aggressive. It can be more, but let's just stick with a couple of scenarios to keep it as simple to make the point. So making that trine aspect to Uranus and Gemini, of course, that's about information and unexpected, um, intense connections with others. The Libra can be a partnership. The trine aspect over here to Uranus, Uranus is wanting change. Uranus always wants change. When Mars and Uranus are connected, no matter what way, they always create a very powerhouse, a very dynamic, um, a very dynamic moment in time, maybe opportunity, maybe something that is just a big awareness. It's crazy big. And so we have that to look at. And so we want to make sure that, we can be only so prepared for the surprises that Uranus can bring. And when Mars and Uranus are in any aspect, this is a positive aspect with each other because they're all air. And the energy of that just represents more so social issues, creative projects, if you will. It's a great time for calculating risks, right? But we have to remember if Uranus is activated by anything, that's it's in Gemini, and so we do still have to look at what Mercury is doing, and it's still retrograde, and it is getting closer and closer. Mercury is at the midpoint almost of this trine. You can see it's 60 degrees from both. It's off by just a little bit. You can see that right here. It's off by 3.5 degrees. But the point is like we know this is about messaging and information, new ideas that can just really change things, the way things can just become so crystal clear, because things have just really coming to the surface. Some of us can feel really energized that there's something new and exciting going on, and some of us can feel very different about that. And then where is that Mars Pluto trine? Here it is. That's on the end of the week. But I still want to talk about it. I think it's this last chart. Yeah, it is. Here's Mars making the trine still to Uranus and to Pluto. And when we have that, looks like a little envelope there, doesn't it? It's sort of a flat star, too. When we have that energy, that Mars trine Pluto, Mars is a co-ruler of Scorpio. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, and they're both in air zodiac signs as they're connecting on this day in this chart. But we still feel that 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th of August, it just is an intense opportunity for us to figure out what our presence, our purpose, what we're passionate about, the passion that we have in our hearts, and that purpose is really big. There's a yacht in the sky at the same time as this Mars-Pluto trine. It's to the moon. The moon is the tip of the yacht. So there is just a huge amount of dynamic showing up where this is a day of adjustment. And I know this one's August 10th, and I did jump a little bit here, but I just want you to hear this because this is just definitely an important whole picture with that grand trine in air. Okay, so I'm going to go back to so what does it mean? Here's that Mars ingress into Libra on the 6th, and here on the 8th is Mars making that trine to Uranus and applying trine to Pluto, which it peaks on August 10th. So all Mars, Uranus, Pluto, all in the air signs, grand trine, Mercury retrograde. The tension of this is the information. Where is it in your chart? Maybe you can just look at the house placements of these 1, 2, 3, 4 planets. I'm including Mercury retrograde, and just understand that this is an area of some significant opportunities for some change and things to evolve and to just shift so we can feel differently. We have to shift with what's going on. There's so much breaking down in the world that we have to move with it and shift with it, whatever our current life circumstances are. Big stuff. This is big. This creates a lot, and we got to bring it to there's only so much you and I can do as individuals. So choose what you want to do that helps you to feel like you have some control. I've seen a lot of people that it surprises me. Well, it surprises me. I mean, people can do what they want, I'm pretty open about that kind of a thing, but that have really picked up religion and really walking with it nice and strong now because they need something that gives them hope and faith. And, you know, that's fabulous if that's what they choose to do. Here is as well, while we're having this going on, this is August 8th. And again, look at your calendar and you can see that August 8th, it's the second major planetary aspect on that day, and it's at 10:52 p.m. Eastern time. So that's Mars opposite Saturn. And with Mars opposite Saturn, and then the next day, we also have Mars opposite Neptune. So here's Mars opposite Neptune, the exact aspect on August 9th. I'm going back and forth today. You're going to have to keep up. Sorry. And here's the, that's the full moon. We'll talk about that in a minute. Here's the Mars opposite Saturn on August 8th late at night, because it's just, there it is right there. It's just a few hours later because Neptune and Saturn aren't exactly conjunct, but they're close. And what does all of that mean? Mars and Libra opposite Saturn. When Mars and Saturn are in opposition, it can be tumultuous, like when Mars and Pluto are connecting with each other. This is just a lot of deep diving. It's like Mars in Libra wants to go, it's feisty, it's diplomatic, and Saturn is like, nope, put on the brakes. Saturn is the structure, but in Aries and retrograde, Mars rules that, and it just says, wait, what am I doing? Do I go? Do I stop? It's hard making choices. It's hard to decide what's going on. We don't want to push right now, is really what it comes down to. It's just not the best thing to do is to, push what's going on in your life or try to push situations, whatever it is. If your boss is doing it, they're making a mistake. If you're trying to push really hard, it can break things. And so, that's what we have going on there because look, I mean, Mercury is only 3 degrees away. That's a couple degrees. And we have all of these things like this. Oh, that's right. Don't forget Pluto. Look at all these sextiles. The only sextile we're missing is something in early Sagittarius. So if you have something between 0 and 4 Sagittarius, there's this grand sextile going on here. I don't know what they call it. There's a name for this pattern, but all these different sextiles, which create trines and oppositions. The point of all of this, I know that was a lot of astrologies, but this can create low energy. We can feel like we can only do little things at a time. When you're feeling sad or feeling depressed, this will amplify it some. The Mars Saturn opposition will amplify it some. That can amplify sad, depressed. I can't get out of my own way. But these other aspects can be, especially Mercury retrograde, pick up an old project and see if you can complete it. Pick up an old project and do one more thing on it and really feel accomplished. I'm the same way. I have the same feelings and hopes and dreams and stressors and sadness that everybody else has. So I'm not saying you have to just pull yourself up by your bootstraps because it doesn't mean anything to me when people say that. You just want to tell them to F off. But what I see with all of these things, this whole configuration that I just had all circled all over, is about being able to be as present as possible and taking one step at a time and just recognizing that, if you're feeling stuck and slow, that is normal right now. There is too many things changing. It's hard to know what the next step is supposed to be. It's so difficult. So just take stock in that we know that there are opportunities here where you can make little steps forward because the big steps are just too hard to fathom. We just don't know. It's hard to make choices when there's so many moving parts. And now let's finish up with, and I know this isn't the last day of the week, but I already covered the last day of the week of August 10th, the last day of my calendar week. Here's the full moon on August 9th, and it's on Saturday, August 9th, 3:55 a.m. What are we going to do with that full moon? We have a lunar gestation cycle that goes along with this. This full moon at 16 degrees of Aquarius. It's a fixed full moon. That's no big deal, though. That's fine. It's awareness around what you're passionate about, what you desire. That's that sun in Leo. And then that moon in Aquarius is about the cooperation in groups. But but we feel unique and different. That moon in Aquarius is unique. It's different. It's about group settings. It's about being in a community and the awareness around that. So group dynamics, friendships, our social responsibilities, all of those things are come very much to the front of the line so we're able to see what that means for each and every one of us. That Aquarius moon also represents just being unique and different. We there's just so many boxes. I know. Is diversity a safe thing to even be these days? I don't know. I'm not going to cover that big political, that would just drive people nuts. Um, but you ask yourself that question, where is the diversity in your life? Because diversity just teaches us so much. It's just wonderful. If we stay stuck in a little box, there's very little expansion and learning there. So the Aquarius moon, this Aquarius full moon is quite unique, and well, it's not unique. We have one a year, but it just helps you to see a bigger picture more clearly, and you can do it from a detached position, because when the moon is in an air sign, we're a little more analytical than we are on that emotional bend, if you will. What else do I see here? Yeah, and so there is that. Let me give you the dates. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen. There we are. Let's go grab those dates. We talked about Mars in Libra, Mars trine Uranus, Mars opposite Saturn. The full moon in Aquarius is what we're continuing to finish. We talked about Mars opposite Neptune. We have not talked about that. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then we did talk about Mars trine Pluto. But let's finish the full moon. I'm supposed to do a separate video for that. I'll see if I can get that done before I go on vacation. If I go. I got to get it done like I'm going to go. Time will tell. Full moon in Aquarius. Here we are. Here's the full moon. So we're 18 months into this lunar gestation cycle. And those of you who follow me for a long time know that we do a lot of work with the lunar gestation cycle. Over in Patreon, if you're seeing this on Patreon, because I also have a membership on YouTube, but you guys on YouTube, you don't have access to the stuff I put on Patreon before I opened up membership on YouTube. So I'm sorry about that. But for those of you in Patreon, I have a video about explaining the lunar gestation cycle. You should be able to scroll back and find it. It's a while ago. If you can't find it, let me know. Those of you on Patreon. Okay. What it represents in a nutshell, every new moon starts a 3-year lunar cycle with 4 events that are 9 months apart. So lunar gestation cycle. This is a solar fire. It's called lunar phase family. Okay, that's the name of it as well. It's known as both. And so they are connected. And so back in February 9th, 2024, we had a new moon at 20 degrees of Aquarius. And that's really close to the same degree that this full moon is in. So that's why they're connected. And at that point, February 2024, new moon, you would have initiated some new things, or new things were initiated and begun back then. So you get to go back and look in your journal and see what was started back then. Aquarius related, since new moon in Aquarius back then. So, of course, friendships, group dynamics, social responsibilities, all of those things coming to the front of the line. 9 months after that, on November 9th, 2024, we had the first quarter moon at 17 degrees of Aquarius. And again, really close to this full moon, which is at 16. And that November 9, 2024, first quarter moon, you would have been able to see the things that were growing and things that were getting established that you initiated back in February of 2024. And then here we are now, August 9th, 2025. Hit cancel, hit quit, go back to that last image. Here, we're back here now, and that full moon in Aquarius is telling us that we can see everything that we need to see in regards to what we initiated 18 months ago at that new moon and work towards it. It would have been group related, social related, friendships, etc. So pay attention to what's going on in that department in your life. Yeah. Okay. And the last thing I didn't talk about, I did not cover much when it came to Mars opposite Neptune, even though it's the same, almost the same as Mars opposite Saturn. Here, things get a little blurry. I did cover it, but I didn't say I was covering it, so I will cover it again. Mars as opposite Neptune creates a little bit of a blur, a little bit of a fog. We're not sure what our motivation is and what direction we're going. But the groundedness of Saturn right there is definitely here to help us out. So good for reflecting on relationships, good for, deciding and looking at it. Actually, let's just stick with that. It's good for reflecting on your partnerships, your relationships, and we're still in the full moon phase here as well. So we're able to really get some clarity there where we have been feeling a bit unsure about whatever certain situation is your main focus right now. I can't tell you what that is because I don't know where that is in your chart. So that's not up to me. And here's that final aspect that I already talked about, Mars trine Pluto, when I talked about that grand trine, and that is August 10th, and that's at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time with that quincunx, that yod with Mercury retrograde to the moon and then over to Mars. That's a tough one. That's going to be a stressful day. So we'll definitely be home by then. Um, it takes a bit. Yeah, I'm going to stop the share now. All right, that's it for now. I got all that. I kind of went back and forth a little bit, but that is just the best way to look at all of these aspects because even though they're linear, they're all in play at this, almost all of them are at play at the same time. All right. And Mercury retrograde is Mercury direct is on August 11th. So I will put that forecast up as well. Yeah, the Mercury goes direct on August 11th at 3:30 a.m. So all of this is happening while Mercury is slowing down to station. I'll be back. Like I said, I'm going on a quick vacation, so I'm probably going to record August 11th through August 17th right now. So you'll have it when it's time. Blessings, everybody, and namaste.